Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the main line. We are back this week. It is Wednesday, 6 p.m. So we'll be back every Wednesday at 6 p.m. To talk to you about different things going on in the cannabis industry at Marion, Maine, and all around the country. So today I'm really excited for all of you that are in the business of cannabis, or, this is going to be applicable even if you're in another industry as well. We're going to be talking about media and PR. How do you get it? How do you secure it? Why is it important? And in particular, why is it important to the cannabis industry? So I want to introduce one of my good friends, Darralynn Hutson. So Darralynn has been a proud journalist writing on Black culture for over 20 years. Her bylines appear in magazines as diverse as Vogue Italia, to Black Enterprise, to High Times. It was her position as the managing editor at Cincy Magazine's Detroit edition, where she became engulfed in cannabis and its scorching hot impact on the media. She has strategically written on Black ownership in the cannabis space for the past 2 years and has created a directory of the top cannabis publications and media in what she calls the Big Fat Cannabis Media Guide. So that'll be for sale on her website at www.darralynhutson.com, where she writes on diversity in the media, and you can check out all of her work there. But you can check that out after she speaks. I want to bring my good friend Darralynn on the stage. Hi, Darralynn. How are you tonight?
Hey, Hope. I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome.
I know everyone is super excited to hear what you have to say. I will let you, if there's anything you want to add to your bio to let them know, go ahead.
No, you did it perfect, Hope. I really appreciate you giving me the time to speak. I love this. I love this platform.
Awesome. Yay. Yes. Well, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for all you've done for me.
Absolutely.
In the past and in the future. I love that we work together and we have this great relationship. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So I'll see you when you're done.
All right. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. As my presentation says, it is about cannabis in the media. Now, Hope said I'm going to talk about a few extra things that I didn't necessarily plan to talk about, but we'll talk about those things too. How to get press as a cannabis brand in the media. But first and foremost, just a little bit about myself. As she said, I haven't been a journalist for over 20 years, and that tells you how long I've been actually writing. And I'm very proud to say that I'm a Black journalist. I don't just write on Black culture, but I'm very proud about the articles and the coverage that I've been able to write about the Black culture. One of the things that I'm most proud of is just really introducing a business, a brand to someone new that might not have necessarily heard about them. And I really love discovering new and wonderful things. And that's why I got a chance to discover someone like Hope. I was doing some research. I saw her online. At the time, she came out in the media with a bang because she was the youngest dispensary owner. So I'm very glad and very proud that she took my calls, she took my emails when I introduced myself, because just a couple of years ago, I was super brand new to the cannabis industry. I am a user. I have been a user. I won't tell you how long since Spelman College, but I've never actually written about it until it got popular. So we're at a really great time in history. I'm in a great time in my career. So let's get this started. Cannabis in the media. So as I said before, let's open up my guide. Can you guys see my guide? So we're at a really pivotal time in history, obviously, and my information is wrong. Hope just reminded me today, legalization is sweeping not just the United States, right? Legalization of cannabis is sweeping the continent. As of now, New Jersey made 33, but actually Hope told me today that there are 34 states out of 50 states. So how many we got left? 16 to go. 34 50 minus 34. So we got 16 more states to come on board to legalize cannabis. We have 34 states in the United States that has legalized cannabis. And we're not even talking about the countries, the continents and countries of South Africa, or I just read about Mexico. Like when I say cannabis, the legalization of cannabis is sweeping the continent, I mean, it's sweeping the continent. And because this is an opportunity, especially for us, we talked about Black people, because this is an opportunity for us to have some type of social equality. I think it's important that we talk about the opportunities for Black people in this industry. Yes, there are 34 states that have legalized medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. How many Black people have actually been able to take advantage of this, right? Not how many Black people have been arrested, not how many Black people have been stigmatized, but how many Black people have really been able to take advantage of this kind of global legalization. So let's look at the numbers right here. So it has been, I rely a lot on MJ Business. That's one of the outlets that gives me a lot of really great information. So as you guys can see, the white man kind of dominates in this industry, right? They have the majority of businesses. And at one time, I think in 2017, there were 20 to 28 thousand cannabis businesses opening on a regular basis, right? 20 to 28,000 cannabis businesses opening every year. Of that number, 81% of them was owned and operated by white people. That's nothing new, right? So 4.3% of those businesses were owned by African Americans. That's the Hope Wisemans, right? That's the Burners of Cookies. That's the Al Harringtons, right? Of Viola. That's that 4.3%. And we're not talking about cannabis ownership that's, with NBAs, shout out to Viola, NBA players, or cannabis businesses that are owned by hip hop artists, shout out to Cookies. I'm talking about cannabis businesses that are owned by everyday people like Hope Wiseman and her mom. I'm talking about cannabis businesses that are owned by some of the people that I represent, like Vera Hill, a telecommunications platform. That's owned by 2 historically Black college graduates and that are making well over $10 million a year. I'm talking about the businesses like Vitra Stevens, who owns First Quality Meds dispensary here in Detroit, right outside of Detroit, Michigan, River Rouge. People like Maurice Morton, who owns Motor City Kush. Those are the people that make up that little 4.3% of African American owned businesses. So if you are like everyone else thinking about owning a cannabis business, because now 34 states in the United States has legalized it. If you are thinking like Hope, you want to own a business, you want to get into this, what they call a green mine of opportunity, right? So you are in the right place, because you not only have to figure out how to promote, but you also have to figure out how to market yourself, right? And there's so many restrictions on marketing yourself because, unfortunately, on a national level, marijuana is still illegal. Even though the states have made it illegal, on a national, federal level, marijuana is still illegal. So as a Black person, you kind of got to maneuver yourself around all of these loopholes that obviously can put you in a position where you cannot take advantage of this. So that's kind of why I'm here. Especially for Black people, I want to be able to talk to the Black people, the disenfranchised people, the people that have been hurt for so many years by the war on drugs, the war on medical marijuana. So, how I kind of got into writing about medical marijuana. My daughter and I had spent 4 years in Los Angeles, and we moved to South Africa for a couple of years. And no, we actually moved to South Africa for 1 year. It was the year in 2018 when South Africa legalized medical marijuana. And it really hit me that this legalization of medical marijuana was a global thing. It wasn't just happening in the States. And it just kind of made me think, okay, this is something that I really need to be paying attention to, because I know that my people, my Black people, would some type of way be able to take advantage of this opportunity. So I came back to Detroit in 2019 after spending a year in South Africa. And I, just heard a lot, read a lot about cannabis. I read a lot about specifically Black people in cannabis. So I came home to Detroit and I decided to throw a 420 party. That was in 2019. And everyone knows what a 420 party is. That party opened my mind. I mean, I wanted to make sure I invited I wanted to get some news support. So I got our local newspaper, the Detroit Free Press, to sponsor it. And I wanted to invite all of the Detroit-based influencers in the cannabis industry. And, surprisingly, because none of these people knew me, I didn't know any of them. I had 8 people sitting at a table, Black-owned businesses in the cannabis space, that were really having a conversation about their challenges, that were really having a conversation about their prosperity, that was really just having a conversation about being involved in this industry as a Black person. And I said, it really blew my mind. I really wish that I could show you when you guys come out of this and you want to see a copy of the article, but I got a chance to write about my experience. And from that 420 party, I was asked to asked to mediate a cannabis panel during South by Southwest. And I had never gone to South by Southwest. I had only heard about South by Southwest. And I knew I had to have some heavy hitters at this panel. They invited me to moderate a panel with Black women in cannabis. I knew I needed Hope Wiseman. I knew I needed Dr. Rachel Knox. I knew I needed Anquinette here in Detroit, because I knew they were all powerhouses in the cannabis space. And being invited to moderate at South by Southwest led me to my first position as an editor at Cincy Magazine. And it's not going. Let me go. So Cincy Magazine, where was a Detroit, Michigan-based publication. They're a national publication, but what I really loved about Cincy is they define themselves as cannabis lifestyle. Now, everyone thinks of cannabis as just kind of smoking weed or, getting high, but we were starting to gradually get out of the stoner mentality and get into the lifestyle mentality, to get into the wellness of cannabis. And being a managing editor at Cincy Magazine really opened my mind. Now, these were all the covers that I was able to create during the time that they had me as managing editor. And of course, as you can see, all of my covers are Black people, because this is not a Black publication. But what I found was I was getting a plethora of information in my email of Black people starting businesses. They were starting CBD companies. They were starting hair companies. They obviously were, starting their own strands and growing flower. They were doing oils and tinctures. So I got a plethora of information from these Black companies that had nowhere to promote themselves. They had nowhere to get any press, or they couldn't advertise on Facebook and Instagram. And they were really looking for a way to let their people know, especially, that they were in business and they needed support. So I love Cincy, and even though I'm not working with them any longer, but they really, whereas South by Southwest and my 420 party opened the door to cannabis, being a part of Cincy let me see all of the success that Black people were achieving in the cannabis space. From Cincy, I was able to learn some things. I don't know why my presentation is going faster than I'm talking, but what I was able to learn from Cincy is cannabis is no longer just in cannabis magazines. I put some copies of some of our tried and true. Everyone knows about High Times. High Times is the grandfather of cannabis magazines. Everyone knows about Culture. Culture came along a little later, and unfortunately they haven't continued in print, but they came along a little later. Marijuana Business Magazine, they've been around talking about the news and the politics of cannabis for years. But for me, High Times was the granddaddy, obviously. So what I learned from being, a part of Cincy for the year that I was, and for the magazines that we were able to produce, was people like Hope Wiseman or Dr. Rachel Knox. They were, expanding the landscape of where Black people could promote themselves. I saw that Hope Wiseman and Dr. Rachel Knox were actually asked not only to be a part of South by Southwest, but they were asked to do TED Talks. I think almost every major festival, from at least the Black festivals, from Essence Music Festival to the BET Awards, have some type of cannabis aspect. There's no way they can have a large gathering of Black people without talking about that industry, because it's blown up as much as it has. You'll see articles about Black people in the cannabis space very often in Forbes. You'll see it very often in Inc. Of the 34 states that are legal now, I would say all of their local newspapers probably have cannabis reporters. Oh, wow, my pet. Okay. So, cannabis is worldwide now. African American people that are owning businesses and doing business in this space, they don't just have to get press in High Times or Culture. They can now, share their story in so many other platforms. So many magazines have sprung up in the last few years, giving voice to women, especially to African Americans that are in this space. I love this magazine, Broccoli. Broccoli magazine is a beautiful magazine because it says it's a magazine for cannabis lovers, but it's really a magazine for female cannabis lovers. I mean, it's as lifestyle as you can get. Recipes, wellness articles, lifestyle articles, raising kids. It's just the breadth of cannabis lifestyle, because we have grown, we have leveled up. As I was talking to Hope earlier, we have leveled up. We don't just have to be in cannabis magazines. Your message could be everywhere. I mentioned before, of the 34 states, their local newspapers. Like, for example, Denver Post now has a cannabis specific section of the newspaper. Detroit Free Press. I live in Detroit. We actually have a cannabis reporter at our daily newspaper. The Washington Post, they actually put out a marijuana report every year. And I mentioned Forbes because Forbes does a great deal of cannabis coverage. Javier, I love his work. Julie Weed, yes, her last name is Weed. Chris Roberts, they all cover cannabis. And if you have a cannabis business, if you're starting a business, these are all the places that either will be very eager to hear your story or able to work with someone like me that's a journalist to be able to tell your story. So I'm really excited about introducing these new magazines. Skunk too. I have to tell you about Skunk because, not only does it have a really cute name, but it's another lifestyle publication, but it skews very, very young. It skews very millennial. I love it because it integrates kind of hip hop and music along with lifestyle. Same as Dope. Dope has a lot of integration in music, and you guys know cannabis and music kind of go hand in hand, especially in the Black community. But I want you guys to check out these magazines if you've never checked them out before. They've been around for a while, but Broccoli just started a few years ago. Skunk has been around for a few years. But check out these publications. Get to know their editors. If you need to know who to reach out to, obviously, that's why I'm here. Another really great, phenomenal thing, Entrepreneur Magazine, similar to Black Enterprise Magazine, they have created their own sections just for cannabis news. Green Entrepreneur, they have a really great not only website platform, but they have an awesome podcast. So that's really super friendly, I would say, to African American businesses. So yeah, these are a lot of really great opportunities. Let me see if I can reload this page. My last slide for some reason isn't showing, but I wanted to talk about just the many, many opportunities that we have. The last slide obviously was going to talk about the Black places. One of the places that I wanted to talk about for coverage specifically for the African American is Black Enterprise. And I don't know if you guys know about Black Enterprise. They started a really great, it's called Green Enterprise, because they saw the plethora of Black businesses that was getting started, just the last couple of years. So not only do they have a podcast, but they have a specific area in their magazine where it's specifically geared towards cannabis. It's geared towards the business of cannabis. And I think it's important to know not only where these people are, because their doors are open to Black. Their doors are open. They understand that there are Black successful cannabis business, whether you're getting started or, you've gotten to the point where you're making millions of dollars. Like one of my clients, Vitra Stevens, who owns a dispensary right outside of Detroit. When I interviewed her during the pandemic, she was waking up to 200 orders on her website every day. And they were at least spending $70, $75 to $100 per order. So you can imagine the type of dollars, the type of profits that she's able to bring in. And we're talking about during a pandemic, like the Ball Farm family, that they cannot keep their shelves filled because of the demand. So please don't think that only the ball players and the hip hop artists are the ones that are profiting from the cannabis industry. They're not. They're regular people. They're regular Black people that went to historically Black colleges. They're regular Black people like Vitra that, have started, that have expanded from PR and events company. Like another client of mine, Tatiana Grant, who did very well in PR and events and has leveled up to doing cannabis. She has the only cannabis event license in the state of Michigan. To me, that's being inventive, and that's taking one of your skills and putting it to use in the cannabis industry, which is what Black people do all the time. So I'd like to kind of to let you guys know, especially if you're interested in starting a business, if you're interested in getting more press, if you're interested in getting more promotions, there's lots and lots of opportunities for you to do so. In regular, old, everyday general market, Washington Times, LA Times, the Detroit Free Press, Forbes, not only are we seeing more cannabis coverage there, but we're seeing more cannabis coverage in our magazines, in the Essence magazines, in the Black Enterprises. So there's a plethora of opportunity out there. Don't think because your business is cannabis that you cannot get the same amount of exposure, that you cannot get the same amount of press. You obviously have to be very strategic about it. And you obviously have to hire the right people to get you in the right places. But the opportunity is there. Every newspaper and almost every magazine, well, I won't say every, but definitely the ones in entertainment, definitely the ones in sports, definitely the ones in lifestyle, definitely the ones in Black culture. They are all covering cannabis. They mostly all have someone specifically there to cover the cannabis space. If you need to know who those people are, obviously, I need you to reach out to somebody like me that can help you get into the space. I wanted to see if there were any questions. I gave you guys a lot of information on my, I don't know why my last page didn't load, but I wanted to know, was there any questions? I was going to ask Rob if he could let any of the audience members ask questions. I'm ending obviously a lot earlier, but do we have any questions? Does anyone in the audience have any questions about anything that I asked? That would be awesome, Ho. One of the things that I wanted to mention too is when you're putting together kind of your press kit, or you're trying to talk to editors about covering you in a magazine or a newspaper, people are very hesitant to say that they own a cannabis business. They're very hesitant to, and I'm saying now it's not only important to say that you are in the cannabis space, but it's even important to say that you're African American. It's okay for you to say that you're Black with a capital B, because I think that those are the stories that they're looking for. Don't be afraid. If you need help massaging what to say, how to say it. That's why I'm here. I can help with that. But I think this is a perfect time for you guys to start reaching the editors at these general market magazines and letting them know that you're there.
I want to know, as a company that maybe can't afford to work with somebody like you or something like that, pitching yourself, is that appropriate? One, and then two, like, I know you said, now's the time to do it, promote that you are Black, but what technical things need to be included?
Well, everyone should have a media kit, and a media kit obviously includes really great images of yourself, a really awesome bio. I advocate doing a fact or bio sheet on your company, doing one on yourself, the owner, and doing one on the company. Because especially if you're new, you're not out there, people need to know who you are and the service that you provide.
Right.
If you haven't gotten any press, utilize your website, utilize LinkedIn, utilize all of these platforms to write articles about yourself. Why you so dope, why your product is the best. Promote yourself and put those clips inside your media kit, right? I put together a guide that has about 50 publications, maybe 20 podcasts. I'm just an advocate of promoting yourself. You don't need a publicist. Make relationships with these editors. Like I said before, almost every local in metropolitan cities have cannabis reporters now.
Yeah.
They have cannabis reporters on staff, and those people are not getting a lot of press releases. They're getting information about policies. They're getting information about laws. They're not getting information about business owners, especially African-American business owners. They're just not.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate. I never say hope. I never say wait.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, it makes, you talked about it a little bit for in the beginning of your presentation, the impact that the media and the press had on our business and on my personal brand and all of that. It had a really large impact, and we kind of like came out the gate running. So by the time I opened the store, everyone already knew who I was. They had known for a little while at that point. So definitely.
Because you were Black, because you were a woman, and because of your age, those are the things that, and I know you and your mom in meetings were probably like, I don't know if we should say we're Black. I don't know. You're hesitant. Right?
Yeah.
This is the time, right? This is the time right now to say, I'm a proud Black-owned business.
Right. Totally.
This is the time. And cannabis reporters want to hear from you. Maybe in 5 or 10 years when the market is oversaturated. But right now they're in their place to hear from businesses like you, obviously.
Yeah.
And they know there are very few businesses that are making the millions and millions of dollars. So they're looking for the startups. They're looking for a story. They're especially looking for challenging stories. Like you hope a lot of people started their business because of health issues or because of, being laid off. They want to hear your story. So that's another thing to put in your media kit. Create a story.
Yeah.
Don't just say I'm starting a cannabis bit. Create a story. If there's a reason, if there's a motivation behind it, create a story. And tell as many people your story as possible.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm going to kind of switch the gear a little bit and ask this question. So somebody, let's say they work in PR and they're interested in trying to break into the cannabis space. You kind of told your story and your evolution of how you got there. What additional advice do you have for them?
You mean other than calling people like you? Calling people like you? I mean, you were an influencer before I even knew what influencer was. You were someone that was out there. And at that time, you were everywhere, Hope. So what I do is I hope what anyone else would do is just do their research, find out who the influencers are in the space, find out the people that have opened those doors for you and get advice. There's no one that I've called in this space, Mary Pryor, Dr. Rachel Knox, there's no one that I've called that hasn't returned my call.
Right.
No one.
Yeah.
I don't have time.
They forget that we're new in the industry too. So although to others, you know, it kind of feels like, oh wow, these are like the OGs. We're like, man, we're really still getting our feet wet, which is exciting all at the same time.
It is.
You know, it's like,
it's not like fashion.
So
it's not like music.
Yeah.
The dogs want you to come on board, right?
Yeah.
You're not looking at us as competition. Like, you know, one of the things when I came to you is like, I want to represent women like you because I know we are a lot stronger together than we are separate, right?
Yeah.
So if you are looking to get into the cannabis space, create your circle. Just as like what I did. I had a dinner and I had a conversation with people because I know that they know way more than me. So that's the first thing I would do is get some advice from real people that's been in this business.
Definitely.
That's the first part, right?
That's the first, right. There's much more, right?
Oh, yeah. Just don't be scared. You know, people are so scared of the word cannabis or scared of marijuana. Like, I talked to my 12-year-old daughter. I talked to my mom about it. Times is changing. Times are changing. You go to dinner now and talk about, oh, I want to start a cannabis business. Nobody's gonna say, ooh, you know.
No, they're gonna think so you gonna be
$500,
right? Oh, well, loan me $1, and it's like, oh, it's not quite that easy, guys. It's gonna take some time before you're gonna be loaning $1.
Yes. So. Well, I mean, you know, you have an excellent education program. You know, I love that you started that as an extension of your dispensary. Because you see how many people are interested in getting to the industry.
Yeah, you know, and that's kind of a part of my overall personal mission, being able to help others, you know, get into their passion. And those people that have identified cannabis as that, you know, I have that specific expertise, and I want to be able to share that with others. So thank you for saying that. Definitely. I want to help others. There's enough for all of us to go around. This industry is only growing every day, and it's already huge.
It's only growing. You see, 81% of the businesses were owned by white men. 81%.
Yeah. And I mean, these numbers are it's really crazy. And especially knowing how many, you know, almost one in every 3 or 4 Black men are in prison. And a lot of that has to do with cannabis.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So now to see what's happening, it's it's a lot disheartening. And you're seeing laws trying to be passed. Like in New Jersey, they were trying to pass their legalization bill after they officially have legalized in cannabis, in Jersey for adult use. But they are trying to pass the actual regulations that will regulate the industry for adults. And the bill was pulled originally because so many people were complaining because it had no recognition for the social equity and social justice that needed to be addressed because of the war on drugs. None of that was in the bill at all. So luckily that was pulled, and they will, you know, have some time to readdress it. I heard though that it will be presented. I heard tomorrow. I might be wrong.
Soon as tomorrow? Wow.
So hopefully there's something in there, but potentially it could get passed with no preference at all to social equity, or social justice. So I think, you know, we need to do
our work is so much more, you know, is more prevalent when you have situations like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, we have to show our success, right? We have to make sure you can do it, right? You can do it. You can be successful, right? You can absolutely do it. Yeah, I think the fear is still so prevalent because of so many obstacles just like that. It's obstacle after obstacle after obstacle.
Yeah, you feel get beat down. But like you said, we have to keep the positive media stories out there to continue to encourage people about this industry, as well as educate.
And I just want to say this too, Pope. I have not had as much. I started in the music business when I started writing. I started in the music business. And while music was fairly easy to get into, when I became more seasoned, it got harder to, as the market saturated with more younger journalists, it got harder to get more assignments, right?
Yeah.
When I started writing on cannabis, I cannot write enough. I get so many assignments on cannabis. It's really ridiculous because every publication that I have written for, they want cannabis stories.
Yeah.
When I say every, I mean from Better Homes and Gardens to Travel and Leisure. I mean, every magazine has something about cannabis in their 2021 calendar.
Yeah.
So if you are a journalist, if you are a publicist, this is an excellent time to get into that industry because every publication is looking for that content.
That's so awesome. I mean, I'm so excited to hear that as an operator too. I'm like, oh, placement opportunity.
Yeah, it's not as hard as it used to be. It's not as hard as it used to be because you can say cannabis in Black and they'll respond to the subject.
Yeah. That's it. those keywords. Yeah. Then you
add woman and a woman too.
Yeah. Under 30, that people are like, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So I love it. I know. I mean, I'm thankful, but like I said, I've said this to you before. I'm definitely itching to get to part 2 of our story. So we have a lot of big things planned in 2021. Some that are our control, and some that are out of our control. But we are a faith-based family, and this is a family-owned business. And we're just excited for all that's to come, and same for you. I think, you never know what could happen for you in the next year, because this industry, as it grows, we are growing with it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we see the need. We definitely see a need. I love that you're in business to make money, but you're also in business to help. That to me attracts me really to what you're doing every time. So it's awesome that you answer my text and my call every time I call. I thank you so much, Help. You have no idea.
Thank you. I appreciate you always thinking of me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, Darralynn. Well, thank you so much. And Naya, is that one of yours?
My daughter is Nia.
Nia's she's been on the chat talking to us. She asked if you had any kids, so she wanted to shout out.
I wanted to shout out my daughter Nia. Absolutely, yes.
Hi, Nia. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you got your shout out. I know you wanted that.
Thank you, Hope.
No problem.
Absolutely.
All right. Good night, Darralynn.
Good night. Thank you again. I appreciate you.
Good night. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap up for tonight. That was awesome. So anyone who's into PR and media, I hope that was really impactful for you. You can definitely follow Darralynn. Go to her website at darralynhutson.com. Check out her media guide, which she is about to launch. You can get that. And like she said, it's going to have a list of different publications, different podcasts, probably different social medias that you can follow, all different types of publication and media that you can either reach out to or just follow for information on the cannabis industry. So this was the Main Line. You can find us again next week, Wednesday, 6 o'clock right here. I'll see you next time.